Do you know these delightful people? They are Joe and Jessica. They were reality TV stars on A&E's Extreme Unboxing, and I get to be an editor for them.
What? Whoa.
That's cool.
I hope that you will stick around for this whole conversation. We had a lot of fun.
Hi, Family Flips. Thank you for being on my channel.
How are you, Kate?
Oh, I'm good. I am so happy to actually talk to you guys like this. I've edited so many of your videos now. It's like I feel like I can kind of tell what mood you're in. I can kind of see how the video is gonna go from like
Don't be giving away all of our secrets.
Oh man. And all the time I've spent like isolating the fun clips so that I can have even more fun with them at the end.
Yeah.
I love
Let's see.
yoga pant. The whole club was looking at her.
Final total. All right, so remember we
Ah,
do a good job with it. A lot better. You have a very good ability to bring out the story and stuff. And you know, I think it's when you do those, when we're in it, like you can't really pick out like, oh, this is an interesting story. But you're able to like pick up on that sort of stuff. Much like when we were filming for Extreme Unboxing, much like the producers would be able to pick out the story of something and be able to go back and ask questions and different kinds of stuff. So you have that ability to be able to help develop the story, which is good.
thanks. What was it like being on TV? I don't know why I'm using this weird voice.
That's your TV voice.
Oh, that's my TV voice.
I will say the experience was really fun. It was very interesting to learn how TV works. The producers who, the executive producer who was on Extreme Unboxing had also done a lot of stuff on like the Ozzy Osbourne show and stuff like that. Very, very experienced people. They were all so nice. I mean, they thought of everything. But they brought their own toilet paper, so they didn't have to use ours. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, they were just so beyond polite, beyond kind. The experience was really great. I think the only thing that was a little difficult was sometimes like if I get really excited. I know you edit my videos, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. I get really excited and then I stumble over my words, but that doesn't translate very well on TV as it does with like a vlog or an unboxing. So I'd have to say it again and I'd be like, well, what did I say? I don't even remember. But
Yeah, it's
it
like
was very
in real life, people talk in incomplete sentences and they trail off and they and
yes. But when there are five, or in every show there's 3 people and they only have 30 minutes, we get at most 10 to 12 minutes, so we have to cram a whole day's worth of unboxings in 10 minutes. So we don't really have the luxury of just stumbling over and then adding a little context to help understand. We just have to say it again clearly, or rephrase it in a way that like people who weren't there the few minutes before I said that statement, that they would understand why I was saying it or what was going on with it.
And it's like, oh, that was a really good, genuine reaction. Now, we're going to do it from this angle and give us the exact same genuine reaction.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Or Joe, what did you say? I didn't know what you said. Can you say that, but don't say this other stuff? It was just crazy, when they started, when the first weekend they came, I was like, wow, like they came in with their big cameras, like the cameras are like probably worth more than our vehicle.
They're big cameras.
And then they got the sound, they got all these people, and then it was just, and then when you film, it's like we were filming, like they would usually get here around 8 a.m. And we would start filming at 9. And we really would, we would take a couple breaks here and there, like we'd take lunch, but it was really like a 7 hours worth of pretty much filming. It may be like stop and then you have to set up a scene, but 7 hours worth of work. And then they would put it, in the episode, like a 30-minute episode, but it was really only 30, or it was only 21 minutes of actual screen time for 3 couples. And so you really only get like 5 or 6 minutes. So they would film 7 hours for 5 to 6 minutes of footage
and have to make that story fit in that time span, which, I mean, looking at all the work that goes into it and then the final product, I was like, you really have to know what you're doing. Like you, who's like an editor and all that kind of stuff, like how hard it is. And I don't think, you know, we vlog and we do unboxings and stuff, but like we know what we do and it works for us. But to see all these, you know, all these creators and all of these people and all these people on TV and like all that goes into it, I'm like, you know, it's really an underappreciated niche. It really is.
I mean, you don't realize how much work goes into it. Like, I guess the aha, like we're going to be on TV hit me. It was like the first morning of filming, and we start filming early. Like the way that our house is, like the sun is rising, but there was a shot that they wanted where the sun was in the way. So they had people kind of climb up onto the roof and put up a tarp to block the sun so that they could get the right shot. And I'm like, this is for real. Like, this isn't just a couple of like webcams and a vlogging camera that we paid $200 for. Like, this is for real.
We had neighbors driving by, like, because there's like people on our roof holding like what looks like a giant trash bag. And like, I'm like, what do we say to the neighbors? And he goes, I don't know. Just tell them you're like shooting for a Mayo commercial or something.
Yeah. And that's what we had to tell them at that point because of confidentiality. Was like, we're filming, like, I think they told somebody that asked, like, we're filming for a documentary. And so like, you know, all our neighbors just knew that, you know, once a month for the weekend, there's these 2 white vans that would show up with like 14 people. And they would be there from morning until night, and they would leave. And
wow, I was just about to ask, how many people were at your house?
It was probably 10. I overestimated a little bit with 14. It was probably close to 8 to 10, depending upon how many, what are the little assistant people?
PAs.
Yeah, production assistants. How many of those they hired from around the area? But there was 2 cameramen, 2 to 3 producers,
audio,
an audio guy. Then there was I guess 3 to 4 producers, and then there was a logistics person, and then sometimes there was the other logistics person, and then 2 to 3 personal. What are they? Producing assistants. Yeah. So like. Yeah.
You must have a pretty decent sized house to accommodate that many extra people.
They did bring and buy like little tents, like little canopies so that people could hang out outside. They really didn't want people. Our house is not that big, but they were very considerate of like, okay, we're going to stay outside. We're not needed right now. We're going to be outside. The audio guy, he could be in a different room as long as he could hear, you know, so. And then the producers, when we were filming, they would give direction and then they could go to another room and then it was just us and the cameraman during that time. So, I mean, like they knew what they were doing. They made it as comfortable as possible. I mean, it was overall, I think the only struggle was for me personally and being on TV and the amount of pressure I felt, but that had nothing to do with the way the production was, because they made it. Honestly,
they were awesome.
They made it as easy as possible.
Yeah. It's like they came once a month for like 4 months in a row, and they were here like the whole weekend. I mean, we were lucky to where they actually came like on the weekend, like other people who were in the show, like they would show up in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
So it worked out for us because we were able to have somebody watch our kids very easily. But it was almost like your weekend buddies. You get together for the weekend, and you hang out, and then they leave for a while. So it was like you would start to look forward to them coming, but by the end of like the second day, you're like, all right, like I'm ready for y'all to go now.
So I need to just go to sleep. I'm tired.
Because you know, you're used, like you have to be on mentally for like 9 to 10 hours, and ultimately in front of people who are technically complete strangers.
Yeah.
So like
that was my life for 12 years, was being on in front of strangers. From the moment I woke up to the moment I said goodnight. Like, so I feel it.
It can be very tiring.
Yeah, it's the mental exhaustion. It has nothing to do with the physical exhaustion, especially when I was doing it in other languages.
Yeah.
Not understanding 80% of what was going on around me. Or when my first while in France, only understanding like 3% of what was going on around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I couldn't imagine.
think originally our YouTube channel was not called the Family Flips. That came later. We were actually called Cellular Resell, because that was the name of the business, because we started selling cell phones. You know, well, Joe did before we were even married. And that's an amazing story of how he came to sell cell phones in itself. But we started selling cell phones, and our passion was always, because we both had experienced parts of our life with plenty, and then we've also experienced parts of our lives with extreme lack. There was a point in our life when we were married that we were watching our PayPal sales go, and as soon as we had enough money for food, we went to go get it. And it was meal by meal. So, and we had 2 kids at the time, so it was like, we knew the pressure of not being able to sleep at night, because how are we going to pay our bills? Like, how are we going to, be able to get to this next thing? I mean, we didn't live a life of luxury. We didn't have nice clothes. I wore clothes with holes in them and stitched them up. Like, I mean, I looked okay. I didn't look, I tried to do the best that I could, but I mean, I couldn't afford makeup, so I didn't wear it, one of the main reasons why the dreads are spiritual, but also they were very convenient at the time, because they cost a lot less to take care of. So one of the things that we always wanted to do was to figure out a way to make extra money. We wanted to be able to, we know that, 40% of Americans cannot handle an unexpected expense of $400 or more, and pay that out without having to really rearrange some things.
And that was before the pandemic. Like, those numbers now are probably
a lot
60
higher.
to 70% of people.
Right. A lot of people are busting through their savings right now. But before the pandemic, we were like, man, an extra $200 could mean so much for a lot of people. So we were trying to figure out ways that people could do this. And we came across this thing called phone farming. So there are these apps that pay you fractions of pennies to watch ads, right? And those will really add up. But I mean, it's not really a whole lot when you have your one phone and your one app and it's just continuously playing. But what if you had 20 phones that were just farming these?
It's a gray area type thing.
It was fine. Well,
the more we got involved with it and the more we understood what was happening in the process, we're like, at first we're like, oh, this is a great way. But then, you learn and you develop. You're like, oh, this is actually probably morally a pretty gray area, which is why we transitioned out of it. But going into it, we were comfortable with it.
Well, at first we were doing it because it wasn't against the terms of service. We had looked into the terms of service. We had done our research and we were like, okay, this is fine. They're saying that it's fine. We're saying that it's fine. But then I guess more and more people started getting into it. We were actually using our YouTube channel to talk about phone farming. And then terms of services started changing. People started, and now we were like, okay, apparently these companies are not okay with this. So that's when we kind of transitioned out and became a reselling channel. But still, we were left unfulfilled with that, because it really wasn't about reselling for us. It was about giving people and equipping people with the tools to be able to reach their dreams. We didn't want to be this family that had their life all together and were really cool, and then you could come to our life and escape. We wanted to be a place that you came to us and watched our channel and you were filled with hope. Like, wow, maybe this could be something for me. Or if they can do it, so can we. We're very clear about, our shortcomings. And like, we do not by any means want to be this perfect family. We want to be a family that overcomes struggles and encourages other people to do the same. Yeah. So we started unboxing these pallets that we got. And they were awful. It was a live stream.
There were live streams with one of the videos, like, I filmed with my phone and the camera lens had cracked. So there was shards of bright light that would come in half the screen. The unboxing videos were a thing.
This is what we did. Like, we just wanted to engage with people who watched our channel. So we did live streams, and I'm talking we last minute just decided there was no production to this. We just set up a camera and we just pulled stuff off pallets and started talking. And that's where the production company found us, through these really poorly developed, non-edited live stream videos. And they contacted us through there.
It's like we started over a brand new YouTube channel
when we rebranded it
with a subscriber count of 800, but we didn't. We had really, maybe 20. And you know, on YouTube, how like in your about section, you can put your email address for people to contact you. I guess I had set it up and put typo and had the wrong email address in there. So like they had emailed us, it went back. And so the lady sent me a message on Facebook Messenger.
She found us.
And that was the time, that was 3 years ago around this time. No, in January, 3 years. Was it 3 years ago?
Mhm.
Yeah. No, was it?
Mhm.
2 years ago? 2 years ago in January.
Was it 2?
Yeah. Yeah. And she sent me a message during Facebook that time. Like, you don't get the notification that such and such wants to send you a message. You would have to go physically and look in that folder. And that's how it was. And I was with my mom one Saturday morning. She was getting chickens for her farm. And I was waiting for her in the truck. And I just get the urge, like, you should check your Facebook messages. So I went and checked, and there was this lady that says, hey, I'm with the production company looking at doing a TV series around the world of liquidation and unboxing. We want to talk to you. So we talked to them like that night. We rearranged things so we could talk. She said she wanted to talk for like 20 minutes. We talked for like over an hour. And then the rest is history.
How did it feel to get that news?
I was aware of Storage Wars, and I realized, like, with Storage Wars was fake. That it gives, you know, with television, it gives a false sense of reality and opportunity.
Mm.
And for a lot of people, that they would, like, they watch Storage Wars, they would go out and they would spend their last $200 on a storage unit, and they would buy it, and then it would be complete junk. Because in the TV show, they did over dramatize. They did put stuff in storage units to make them better. And for us, as I'm very much a justice seeker, like, I want people to have a realistic understanding or expectations of reality. So I was like, the show, they're going to do it regardless of if we are on it or not. Like, it's going to happen. But if we were on it, then at least we would know that there is at least one couple on the show that would do their best to make it a realistic experience for people to gauge from, and not a far-fetched dream or pipe dream or whatever that might happen. So there was that aspect of it. We went through the biggest thing, the biggest concern that we had as being part of the YouTube and reselling community is that the people who do this for a living, they're going to be upset because they are going to be fearful that now there's going to be all these new people that are going to come and start doing this that are going to take opportunity away from them. But we don't feel that way. We always feel that, you know, granted, yeah, there may be 10 people, and these numbers, I'm just making them up. I'm just using them for example, is that, yeah, there may be 10 people making, you know, $400,000 or $40,000, but what if there was 100 more people that were able to make the extra $200 a month? What if there was the extra 1,000 people that, because they watched an episode, they're like, I can do this. Like Joe and Jessica, they might make, you know, $1,000 profit. My wife and I, we can actually buy a pallet and sell it and be able to pay our rent. Or maybe we need another car. And if we had another car, then one of us can get
a job.
Like, if, you know, you only have one car, you get one job. It's like, maybe this could be the opportunity that we can do, but also at the same time, we can do it together. Because you hear so many, you know, like, families that, like, the husband or wife will have to go and get a part-time job. Like, they work full-time job, then they have to go get a part-time job. And granted, I don't want to, you know, there's the psychology of overspending and budgeting and trying to live up to societal expectations of trying to have all the newest and nice stuff. We're not talking about any of that, but just at the basics, the basis of it is they need more money, because, you know, money isn't the solver of all problems.
But you kind of need it.
In Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, if your basic needs aren't being met, then it doesn't matter what your spiritual needs are. Like, you can't even get out of survival mode enough to even know that you are in desperate need of a God.
And the kicker is, there's plenty of product out there. So all these people who are like freaking out, I'm like, do you realize that in 2017 alone, in the United States alone, 5 billion pounds of returned merchandise found itself in landfills, and consumerism is only growing. And that's just returns. You don't have to just buy pallets of returns. You can buy shelf pulls, you can buy overstock items. Sometimes people buy, like the big box companies, they buy a certain amount of items and then the newer product comes out, so the other product becomes obsolete. They can't store that. They're not going to pay to store that because they're never going to sell it. So they either have to pay to take it to a landfill, or they can sell it to a liquidator and make a little bit of money off of it. So that's what they want to do. If there was a higher demand for pallets, we might get more pallets because it's out there. There's enough. There's enough.
I will never understand this competitive nature. Like,
fear. Now, just anytime that you fear that your lifestyle is going to change, it's just you're going to go against it. And like, we just know that with the way it was with storage wars and then with extreme couponing, that people were very upset because it infringed upon their lives and their ability to make the money that they were making. But we believe that everybody should have the opportunity, or at least if you have the knowledge, like, hey, this is an opportunity, I can do this. So for us, we wanted to be the example. We wanted to show people and give people a realistic thing, like, hey, you can do this. And then we would know, like, if the pallets that we bought, that we would know that there wasn't anything planted on there to make it fake. So that was a big desire for us to want to be on there. Is one, the reality of it, to make it real, but also to show people that this is something that you can do. And it may not change your life, but it could be the stepping stone that will cause your life to be changed. And that's a big reason why.
Oh no, you're frozen. Why? Okay, you're unfrozen.
Right. Take two.
Take two.
Honestly, if I'm truly honest with you, I was not excited about it for a very long time. I felt like this was where we were supposed to go. I did feel, when I prayed about it and I thought about it, I was like, I really think that this is important and that we should do it. But I was terrified. And I, as a Christian, I feel the burden a lot of being, and this is not like healthy. I don't think it's something that I work through, but I want to represent Jesus in a way that drives people to want to know him too. And because he's done so much for me, being that unconditional love and being that for me, that it actually, in that relationship that I've had with him, it drove me to give up a lot of things that were sinful and live a life that is thriving and wholesome. I never really learned very much from people wagging their finger in my face saying, you know where you're going if you do this, kind of thing. That never worked for me. It was only out of a place where Jesus came and met me where I was and loved me that I could overcome the things that were holding me back as a person. And I desire so much to be a representation of what that looks like, and to be on national TV and knowing, and at this time I did not know much about the TV network other than there were some shows on there that I liked. And I didn't really know much about TV production. I'm like, are they going to spin this to make it look like something different than it is? And
they're going to make it drama. Are they going to make it seem like we're arguing, much like, because Storage Wars was on A&E and they very dramatized.
And on top of that, like, when I get this exposure, people are going to be looking for me and they're going to find me. And, how am I, like, what? At some point I had to give up control and be like, look, people are going to think of me what they're going to think of me. It's just my job to be authentically me. And and at this point, like, I know it. But sometimes I still kind of fall back onto this, like, I don't know if I want to do this, because it is so much a desire for me to display the love of Jesus in a way that is real and tangible and drives people to want to at least have a conversation with him, at least get introduced to him in some way, and they can still make their choices at the end, but I just want everyone to have the opportunity. I think when I first found out about it, I was terrified, and I kind of drug my feet on it, and Joe was actually really worried that we weren't going to go through with it and that I was going to say no, because there was a part of me that wanted to. And I really feel like it was a step in faith for me to just do it anyway.
I totally hear that about wanting to be a good representation of Christianity, because there are so many crap ones out there. But also I totally hear you about the fear. Like when I had my conversation with David Hoffman, this guy has over 500,000 subscribers, and seeing my creepy face on the thumbnail of his channel and seeing all these comments coming in, it was so terrifying. It was just like, you almost feel like you're out of your body, like knowing that so many people who don't know you in the context of you, but they only know you in the context of what they see on that screen, and they're making judgments just based on that.
I mean, and people can be ruthless.
Yeah.
Ruthless. I actually, on one of the YouTube videos of like the advertisement for A&E, by the time that we had filmed to the time that we had actually posted the video, like I had 2 babies back to back and was having some hormonal issues. And so I had gained quite a bit of weight. So I started, doing an elimination diet. I did Whole30, which is basically cutting out everything inflammatory and eating only whole foods for 30 days. And then I started doing a very strategic planned diet, talked to nutritionists, fitness coaches, all these things, started working out. And now, I'm at this point now where I've lost quite a bit of weight, and I'm actually very close to my ideal weight now. But to go through all of that, and then somebody sees a video that was filmed before I had started doing all of this and working so hard and working out 4 times a week and doing all the right foods and all this other stuff. And then for somebody to post and be like, man, it looks like she unboxes pallets of Burger King. Like that hurt. Like, it was like, people are so mean. And why Burger King? Burger King, for one, is gross. Like, why couldn't we have done like Chick-fil-A? I would have been okay a little bit with Chick-fil-A because it is delicious.
Right. Like, okay, let me recreate that moment really, really genuine, in the moment. Okay. All right. Who do I gotta beat up?
Yeah, like it was and this was on A&E's YouTube channel, because they did some stuff after the TV show had already come out that they wanted to put on their channel. And I read the comment, because when you're out there, it's like you want to hear like, what are people saying about you? And maybe not everybody. There's probably a very small percentage of people that are like, I don't care what people think about me. Those people, like, because I've always thought of myself as one that doesn't care what people say or what they think about you. But once you start removing those layers, that facade that you put on, you realize like you do care what people say.
Yeah.
And not that it, I guess the determining factor is, do you let that bother you? Like, do you let that change the person that you are for the better or worse?
Yeah.
But I think people who do YouTube, like you, it does affect you in some ways.
Yeah.
And but I read the comment, I'm like, who do you think you are? Like, so it's like, even on our channel now, it's like, we're generally okay. Like when somebody says, like, if I read a comment about me, I'm like, you're partially right. I still think you're an idiot. But then they say something about her, I'm like, delete, block, move on,
Yeah.
And it's the same thing for her. Like if
somebody says something about me, I'm just like, you don't even know me. It's fine. You can have whatever opinion you want to have about me. But then they start saying something about him, and I'm like, hold up, let's set the record straight here.
You're like, hold me back, Joe. Hold me back.
Just people, man. It's crazy.
People are just a lot braver when you can't say it to somebody.
And I realize a lot of like people are just so unhappy with life that they just breed negativity, and they just exuberate it everywhere they go. And they take out they bully people and speak down to people. Ultimately it's usually the things that they feel about themselves deep down that they haven't succumbed to those things that they, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. It's
That's one
unfortunate.
of the reasons, like, on my channel, it's so important to me to be vulnerable, even about doubts, because so often Christians are like, we told all this, you can't have any doubts, you can't, you only got to say the platitudes, you only have to say what people want you to hear. But like, I know that God is big enough to handle my reconstruction, my deconstruction out of evangelicalism,
Yeah.
reconstruction into faith that isn't hurting so many people.
It's
Mhm.
toxic Christianity. It's like they read the Bible, but they totally forget Psalms. They totally forget David used to always have doubts and like unbelief and, all of these things.
There are so many people. It's not just David.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think about this, like Job, the whole book of Job, all he's doing is talking about he wished he was better off dead and that he had never been born and all of this other stuff. Yet at the very, very end, God said he was his most faithful. Why? The reason why is not because he just recited Psalms the whole time and did all this stuff and just said all the right things. It was that in the midst of his struggle, he still communicated with God how he felt. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't do anything. He told the Lord. He never said to everybody else, I wish I was dead. He said, Lord, why did you even like allow me to be born if you're going to do this to me? And so in the end, all of his friends are telling him, like, maybe God isn't real because you haven't done anything wrong. And so maybe God isn't real and you should just like let that go. And he's like, no, God is real. I don't know why this is happening. I'm dying and everything around me is falling apart. I don't know why this is happening, but he never ever denied God and the existence of God. And it's like, for me, it's like, how can you read all of these things and then still say that your negative emotions are not valid. Too? But I think really what it boils down to is it's really not about God at all. I think it's that we do not know how to hold space for people in places that we are uncomfortable to look at ourselves. So if we are uncomfortable with negative emotions in ourselves, then how are we going, if we can't sit in our sadness, in our fear, in our doubt, and then say, okay, let me move forward in the midst of this, how can we sit here with somebody else and sit with them in their sorrow and doubt? Instead, it's, your emotions make me uncomfortable. So why don't you go pray about it?
Yeah.
And get better so that we can have a better relationship.
You don't have any faith. You're not quoting the scripture. You don't have faith because you feel that way. Like, no, I feel this way. You're saying that because you're not comfortable with how to feel that way. And granted, they learn it, it's passed through the generations, to discount your own emotions.
And I feel like that's really pushed into all the areas of social justice.
Yes.
That is like white fragility, white privilege. It's like, no. Instead of actually just facing things head on and being willing to listen to people's stories, being willing to honor what they've gone through.
It is a very, it's a line that you are not born knowing how to walk. It is a line that only comes from uncomfortable conversations and practice. And so it's one of those situations where, I think, you brought up the whole, like, the white privilege and all of this. So this is a great example of that, is that how can we, like, if we are, like, as a white community, how can we sit with the Black community and sit with them and let them have their feelings and their emotions without us saying, well, what about us? Or without us saying, well, now I'm a terrible person because you feel this way. That's powerlessness. Can we truly just sit here and be friends and listen and have conversation that is uncomfortable, because it does require us to look at ourselves and see what we've done to contribute to the problem. But it's not our pain to carry, and we shouldn't carry it, and we shouldn't try to fix it, but we should find out what they need to support what the Black community needs to be supported, to be able to be lifted high, because they are just like us, brothers and sisters, right? So, but we're so uncomfortable with things that are negative, and we're so uncomfortable with pain, that we feel like we need to fix it or run away from it.
Yep. Exactly. how it was that we came to be working together.
Okay.
So Joe made a post in a Facebook group, No Small Creators, and he posted it, and I was like, oh, and I went and I was like, I gotta jump on this. And so and then I went back to it and it was gone. He deleted it, but I just thought I remembered the name, and I like searched in the group for your name, and I sent you a message saying, I'm interested.
You did. You're the one of the few people that were actually helpful in that post, which is why I removed it. But we were, I reached out because we were at a point where we were wanting to grow in our business. And we, the one thing that we value the most is time. That time is the one thing that you cannot make more of. Like, you can make more money, you can do all those things, but time you can't make more of. And so we started thinking about ways that we can create more time for ourselves. And one thing that we've learned is, like, there are certain aspects of our business, YouTube channel, reselling business, that we can outsource to create more time for ourselves. When I had made the post in the group, we were at a point, I don't remember when the timeline was, when that was, like August, September of last year, maybe October. I don't exactly remember, but we were at a point in our business where we were wanting to grow, and we were wanting to be able to do more unboxing videos, but we didn't really have the time. Jessica was editing all of the videos up to that point, and she only had so much time. Like, we homeschool our kids, like, we have our business, like, there's only so much time that we had. So we decided that
Also, I'm very slow. It is what it is.
I thought she did well. I thought her timing was impeccable.
Then Kate started editing videos, and her turnaround time was like, I'm like, how did you even do that?
Yeah. And so I made the post in the group, and nobody had really commented. A couple people had commented, and they were just kind of snarky. So I had removed the post, and so I'm like, all right, well, I'll just find something elsewhere. And then you messaged me, and I know that we talked very, very quickly, within a couple of days, and you spoke our language. Like, a lot of the words that we say was the same, like, same tribe as people here would say. We're like, she speaks our language. This is something that we should pursue. And it was very, as somebody, let me see how I can say this. I guess anytime that you put your filming or whatever, your project, in the hands of another person, you don't know exactly how it's going to go. Like, you still, like, you want you to be portrayed, but you also want to give people the creative freedom to put their own thumbprint on it, because you're not making like a template. Like, so it's like giving up control to be able to create something better. And I feel like it's a lot better.
Yes.
Than what we used to do.
I mean, we, in piggybacking off what he said, it's like we are very protective of this brand that was given to us, this platform that was given to us, and we desire very, very deeply to deliver what we promised others we would deliver. And so to give that something so important to and so integral to our business as an unboxing to somebody else was a big deal. But it's funny because he was like, well, I found somebody, and I was like, okay, and then we met with you on that call, and the minute that I got off the phone, I was like, she's the one. I know that she would do this right. And we've been burned before. We actually had hired people, not really to do unboxings, but to, on some level, support us or be a part of this business. And they did damage our reputation and name a little bit. And so, and it was okay. It's fine. It happens. It's part of life. Like it's water under the bridge. It all is forgiven. It's just, it happens, and so we've learned from it. We've learned how to communicate better as part of that. And so I'm thankful for all experiences that we've had that got us to this point. But I will say that I was carrying that memory when we talked to you for the first time. But I mean, within a couple minutes into the conversation, my worry melted off of me. And I was like, I'm so happy to be a part of this. And that meant a lot to me, Kate. And I never really did tell you that. But you have done a lot just in our small, short conversations and relationship to rebuilding the trust that I have with people.
That is awesome.
And it also plays in with you, like it plays into the fact like it was a dream of yours to be able to do this sort of thing for people so that you can stay home, be able to be with your kids and be part of that development with them. And for us, like we want to really encourage and empower people to go after their dreams. And how could we pass up on an opportunity to not allow somebody to pursue after their dreams and their desires? So it was a win-win. Like we get a lot of joy out of it, just from being able to allow you to be able to do what it is that you enjoy.
And your editing is so hilarious.
Oh, thank you. Sometimes I really laugh out loud. I love that you guys let me play and just try different things, because I have gone through quite a lot of different styles. Like in the beginning when like every 2 seconds I was like doing something, and to be able to step back and say, wait, people are not watching this just for the editing. They really care more about their personality. So I can take a few steps back and save myself 2 hours. Like,
yeah. I mean, I love it. I love how much you've grown just from the first video that you've edited up until now. Like there is a definite improvement in skill, especially in terms of pulling stories out of film.
Who should we style next? Joe!
I will say, for anybody who is interested in doing something like liquidation reselling or, pallet flipping, that if it wasn't for extreme unboxing changing the liquidation climate, it would have been something else. You have to be adaptable. Things are always changing. The economy is always changing. Stocks are rising and falling all the time. We can't sit here and have a victim mentality of, oh, because of this TV show, I have to now suffer. Instead, say, okay, this TV show is coming out. How do I set myself up for success and adjust my lifestyle so that I can still provide and reach my goals as a result of it? Because it's not Extreme Unboxing's fault and will never be Extreme Unboxing's fault, because there are so many other aspects to this, to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't control economics. We can't control what the government does. We can't control what big box company does. We can only control what we do here inside of our business. So that's what we control, and that's how we'll adjust. So if anybody else out there wants to do this, just know that something at some point is going to cause you to have to change gears. Just expect it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will never understand any kind of competitive nature when it comes to something like YouTube, because nobody's got a channel like mine. There's no other English speaking expat on the island of Gotland, which is in Sweden, for anybody who's over my channel visiting, because they promoted this video. And even if there was, we would still be two different people. We would still be two different Americans with experience of living on an island of Sweden. Like, there is enough room for all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
For
We
everybody.
believe in building a longer table, not taller wall.
I think that's a good way. Big table, people. I like to see people. I'm lonely.
Sorry. I love when you get excited about stuff. I've seen the vlogs of you dancing in your onesie thing. I was like, she's so cool.
I also do conversation videos like this every week, and I have already spoken to some pretty darn epic people, and I've got a lot more epic people to come.
I really like your interview style. I like the way that you really want to know. It's not really about you talking about your opinions. It's about you really digging deep. It's very journalistic. And a lot of times in in the news and stuff, you've got these journalists and news reporters, but it's really not about the person they're interviewing. And that it always gets me. I'm like, this is not real journalism. Like, this is not real, reporting. Yeah. So I definitely appreciate that about you and your style. You seem to really understand that you really come to it with a heart of, I want to know you better.
Yeah. And like, I want to hear other people's experiences and teach and while I'm learning compassion, other people can learn it too. Well, I've waited until Joe's mouth was full of banana before wanting to wrap up the video
I'm
saying
good now. All gone.
all right. Well, now I will say thank you so much for this time and hugs. And okay, are you ready?
What are we
Joe is a little creepy there.
You know, you're a little boy. You know, you little kids. They would do this. They would turn around and be like, it was like they're making out. Y'all never seen that before? You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
You know.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. I was like, what is he talking about? Like, who are you making out with as a kid? Now I got it. I'm here.
Clearly nobody.
I know. No, I now get it. Yes, I've done that as a kid. I just didn't know that's what you were doing, and I'm
making it weird. I always try to push the boundaries of
I was really confused. I was like, I got it now.
Cut. That's a
the way that I if you're new to my channel, allow me to scare you away now, because on videos that have some more lightheartedness in them, I end them by doing this. Nostrils of death. Do you want to take a whack at it?
Go for it.
You just open your nostrils and you walk up to the camera?
Yeah. But you have
my table, the way it is, I've got a little table cushion, and it's hard for me to get into the camera. I think it'd be better suited for you to do.
I can't do it. I can't do
The
it.
thing is, you gotta like get wild eyes, pause, and then say nostrils of death as you go to the screen.
I don't have crazy eyes.
Go the other way. Yeah.
Nostrils of death.
Nailed it.